And we're live.
Yeah.
It's the best free song ever.
Yeah, let's make a deal. The price is right.
All right, welcome. Outlaws to Advocates. Frankie Cano, the game changer, is in the house. How you doing, Frankie?
I'm doing great, man.
That's so
Glad to
awesome.
be here. Glad to be here.
So awesome
Love
to
it.
have you here.
Welcome, brother. Welcome.
Frankie's had such a huge impact in almost all three of our lives just by getting us into the Correctional Officer Training Academy to speak to newer cadets. It was something, or newer correction officers that are coming out of there. And I know it's I was telling Frankie before this, it's one of my most things I look forward to the most. It's a really, really good time. So like we started doing last week, we're going to start off this week again with highs and lows. What best part about your week, what that looked like. Anybody want to start? Okay.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and start.
Perfect.
All right. So my highs for the week, obviously, besides this being like one of the greatest things, so far that happened to me since I've been out, right? I would say just meeting new people, right? So I go around and I do Uber. I pick people up randomly and just drop them off, which helps me with my own personal social anxiety kind of thing.
Nice.
But at the same time, you get that, it kind of goes into what we're going to talk about today, that human connection, right? Just for instance, like last night, I found somebody that got in the car and you could feel that they were going through something. And it's just crazy how when you're open and your heart's open, your mind's open, spirit's open, that you can like feel that other people are going through something, right? So my high and kind of a low was to realize that there's some people out there going through some stuff, man. And sometimes it just takes a stranger to open their ear and boom, it all came out. And then when it all came out so much so that I had to stop afterwards and I went home. I went home because it hit me that hard. And I didn't know what to expect. That I just went out driving. I'll be back in a few hours. A few hours turned into 30 minutes, and I couldn't do it no more.
Nope.
So that was kind of a high in that I'm still able to connect with people that I don't even know, and then at the same time it's a low because I was feeling for what that person was going through. So kind of both. But at the end of it all, being here, this is the high, and I'm gonna go ahead and call this my reset for the next week. And let's just push on. Let's keep going.
Perfect. That's awesome. Do you hear the sound difference when you put your mouth by the phone?
Yeah, it's just like I got personal space issues.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Thank you for sharing that. And that
Hey, no
self-care
problem.
and that self-awareness, because especially in our work, we hear some stuff, right, that impacts us. And having that skill set to know when, hey, man, I need to go home and practice some self-care is extremely important. What about you, Jess?
So high of the week is definitely this podcast, but aside from that, during the week I got to teach a work skills course on budgeting, and just working with some of these guys that had never been able to save a penny, didn't know anything about what that was or how that existed, and I'd been that person myself. Just being able to work with these guys and help them understand how to understand what their needs are as opposed to their wants, and just basically helping these guys get ready for the real world, and just seeing them start to grasp it was really rewarding, because for so long in my life I didn't know any of that shit.
Awesome.
I didn't know how to budget. I didn't know how to save money. I didn't know how to be responsible. I didn't even know how to fucking work.
Yeah.
So to be able to actually pass some of that on to people, not only makes me feel good because I'm able to help them, but it makes me be able to step back and see how much I've grown myself, and it's awesome.
That's pretty cool,
Feels really
man.
good.
I did notice you walk in with a bunch of cash in your wallet, so
Yeah.
you
well,
must
I
be
work, and I earned
be
it.
budgeting.
It's not drug money. Yeah.
That's always good, right? It's actually
high, too.
yours. That's awesome, man. About you, brother? How's your week?
Really good week. I'm just really grateful to have, my high for the week was paying off the last of my fines.
Awesome,
Nice.
brother.
Good job,
it was,
man.
$1,300, and I was looking at the case numbers, just doing the financial amends piece, going through my spiritual practice as I, was pushing send.
Yeah.
It felt really, really good.
Absolutely. That's huge,
it was
man.
it was absolute closure. There's so much. I felt like again. It's a part where you just take your name back.
Absolutely.
And it's that connection with yourself.
No, absolutely.
It's like if I don't have that, how can I give it to anybody else? And
Absolutely.
to be able to do that and step up and get that out of the way, and then Rochelle Hicks. Shout out to Rochelle Hicks. She's petitioning for me to get my rights back.
Yeah, she's awesome. Arizona Village Network. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She'll be there at the parole meeting tomorrow, or parole orientation. She
Oh,
usually
nice.
is anyway. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's a phenomenal human.
Nice.
That's awesome. So for me, my high for the week, it's got to be having Frankie come here. because I've heard so much about him. I've benefited from the work he's done. We've run kind of in the same circles, and I hear all this cool stuff. We've talked on the phone. We've had really good conversations, but all of us work a lot. All of us have a lot of stuff going on. Sometimes it takes an intentional effort to get together, and to have him show up here, even though I told him 30 minutes before everybody else for some reason, because I wasn't paying attention to my text messages. It's definitely awesome to have you here, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Really, really good. So what we're doing every week is we're having the guest who comes on pick a topic. And you talked to Frankie last night, right?
That is correct.
And what was the topic you came up with?
Human connection.
Human connection.
Human connection, yes.
Well, what's the big deal about human connection?
Oh man, there's a big deal about a bunch of it, right? So there's a lot of stuff that was hard for me to pick a topic. It was hard for me to decide what one thing that I could talk about in 30 minutes with 3 different guys who's going to like limit my time. Automatically, I'm doing the math in my head. I get like 6 minutes to talk about something that's life-changing, right?
You got all the time you want, man.
So what I did was I went with human connection because it's something that I found not only in dealing with, it had something to do with when I first started this, right? Before we got offered the opportunity, Jeremy, for the initial RSS group back in 2018, right? When that came about, it had hit me, and there's a moment that connected with me then, and all the way up until talking to the correctional officers now, that same moment and that same purpose and that same idea of what I'm trying to put out there is still with me ever since that time. So human connection for me is very, very important. I think it's vital in what we do. I think without it, we're not going nowhere. I think that if you lose it, you absolutely lose the chance to save someone else's life. I think that, just going out there, we're helping other people. We're helping other people's people, right? And sometimes it's frustrating, and sometimes things happen, and sometimes you get in your way. Your own life happens, and it's hard because when you clock in, you're not just clocking in to like earn a certain set of dollar amount per hour. You're clocking in to be a part of someone else's life. And that might be the
That's
last,
powerful, man.
The last part that person ever experiences. But it also, the beautiful side of it is that you might be able to be part of that person's life at that exact moment. If you connect with that person at that right moment, that could be the point that gets them to a table on a podcast at a friend's house that, later in life. And to have the possibility of starting that ripple effect is something that I never thought possible.
Yep.
There's no way that I was ever going to be invited into someone else's house. Like, I don't know, I don't want to get into my history or nothing like that, but being invited, like, hey, come over to my house. That right there alone is like growth. I can just be good. I can die now. You know what I mean? Like it's okay. And I'm dead serious. My family know what I'm talking about. The people that know me know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The people that support me know what I'm talking about. And I've been allowed, and they have chosen to let me be reconnected with them. And that I appreciate that every single day that I wake up. Something that I live my life by is always to see the beautiful things, and I put that on my feed. I put that on Facebook. I tell everybody that is because those beautiful things are there all the time. And for so many years, I just chose not to see them.
Nope.
And now every day, I'm looking to catch as many as possible all day long with every single person I meet. A perfect stranger, does not matter. Anybody, they're getting it.
Guy in the back of an Uber, huh?
Oh yeah, all the way out Uber.
Absolutely.
Uber everywhere.
I loved how you were able to make a connection too with your social anxiety, and then kind of forcing yourself to have conversations with strangers by giving them rides through Uber.
Yeah.
That's a great way to challenge yourself, man.
It's challenging right now. If you can't tell, body language or whatever, I get it. I'll talk to hundreds of people, and as soon as I get over the hump, then it's a wrap. I got it. I'm gonna tear it up, right? But initially, just the anxiety of it all, right? I'm an honest person, so just the anxiety of just even being here, sitting here, having this thing in my face. I don't necessarily like it, right? But I'm gonna do it because it's that important, right?
Absolutely.
It is so important that we individually, collectively get our message across, because there's a lot of people that feel that connection isn't real. They feel that it's not possible. They feel that it's a joke. They feel that they've been let down so many other times in their life that it's just going to be a repeat offense. I'd rather stay in a place of hurt, pain, sorrow, and struggle than take one more chance to allow somebody to connect with me.
Absolutely.
And we just, I got trust issues. No, it's deeper than that. Because when somebody says that, behind that is a lot of pain, is a lot of hurt, is a lot of fear, right? They're scared to be hurt again. But then at the same time, we're trying to put this facade on like, oh, I'm not scared of nothing, but I'm hurting inside. And that pain is what I try to live in, that pain. I try to live in that area. So not a lot of people really, they don't expect it, You know, I know they feel it eventually once you get a chance to talk to them and like open them up and stuff like that. But initially, everybody's so wrapped up in like how they live their life, the basic necessities, just day by day, that they don't have time, as we all had. We had time to self-reflect. We had time that, you know, we didn't clock out. That's what I tell the officers. We don't clock out. You clock out after your shift and you get to go home. I don't clock out. My mind doesn't clock out. My heart doesn't clock out. So when I get out, I'm on another level of thinking to where if I'm going to do this life, now I'm the outcast, right? I think I'm better, and I come out here and everything is going so fast. You know, if I don't have that support or any of those connections, I'm not going to make it, you know? And I like to think that everybody can make it, you know, because that's just the cliche things, right? One day at a time, you can make it, you know, all those things.
Right.
I'm done with those things. I'm about going after it, go and get it. Like, hey, come on, come with me. You can trust me again. You can connect with somebody again. You can fall back and I'll catch you. That kind of a thing. Oh, and by the way, my name's Frankie. You don't have to know the person in order to care for them. I can walk around all day and care for every single person that I walk into, right? Because I've been on the opposite side of that.
Yep.
So having that human connection is what pushes me every single day to do something different, do something better, and just be a part of the solution. That's why when you guys ask me here, I'm on it, dude. 6 o'clock, I'll be here at 6 o'clock.
He was deep in the complex too. He was all the way back there at the wrong gate and everything.
For sure. I'm here. Dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Probably
it's on.
witnessed a couple felonies in the process.
That's
That's awesome.
a couple of things might have changed hands in the parking lot. We don't know. Nothing to do with Frankie, but who knows what goes on in this parking lot.
I work recovery. So I work recovery.
I have Narcan literally sitting over there because of an experience I had at the mailboxes when I first moved in here.
Yeah.
And we're kind of joking around a little bit, but there was loss of life out there.
Absolutely.
And it's
And the reality is that we're connected
no,
to about every parking lot in this zip code.
that is absolutely the truth.
And when I'm driving, I look over and I see it. And I see some guy melting into his tray. I'm like, I get it, man.
No,
This is why I do this.
100%. 100%, man.
And I'm connected.
What about you, Jess?
You know, when I think of connection, the very first thing that comes to mind is back when I was using. And I just remember that I isolated from everybody, from my family, from my friends, from anybody that wasn't using drugs. I just recoiled. You know, and for me, you know, I couldn't even, you know, and I share this a lot, you know, there's a lot of my family members that are successful, you know, pharmacists, MBAs, cousins of mine that are doing really well. I couldn't even look them in the eye, you know, at family functions because I was just so ashamed of the person that I had become.
No.
You know, and I just felt so separated from even my own family because of where my addiction had taken me. You know, and when I finally made the decision to take sobriety and recovery seriously, you know, I realized that aside from my family, pretty much everybody that I had in my life over the last 20 plus years was people from my addiction and people from incarceration and people from jail. And the only connection that I had was to that type of community. And I got to a point in my life in recovery to where, you know, I started taking suggestions, and what I started realizing is that I needed to bring people into my life that started to add value, started to bring people into my life that I could trust, you know. You know, Frankie shares, you know, about people not being able to trust anybody. A lot of that was because of who I had around me. You know, when I started bringing people into my life, you know, like George, like Jeremy, you know, like people in the rooms, people that actually genuinely cared for my well-being, people that actually genuinely wanted me to do better and be better, you know, my life started getting better because of who I was associating with. You know, I wanted what they had. You know, I wanted nothing more than to overcome addiction and have a normal life. And somewhere along those lines, you know, through the miracle of me being able to find recovery, you know, I developed a purpose to want to give that away and help others.
Absolutely.
And I really believe that people like us, you know, even our darkest, most shameful, horrendous things that we've done in our lives can be our greatest assets to help somebody else that's hurting. Because they're going through that. You know, and we can tell them, I've been there. You know, I've been through that, and I know how you feel. And I know what it feels like.
I had a guy tell me yesterday, he's only been out of prison a few weeks, you know, and he called me, we were talking. He's like, man, you don't understand what I'm going through.
I understand exactly what you're
I understand exactly. I know we experience things differently and everything else is unique, but let's talk about what you're going through.
Fucking years. I understand it.
I got it.
I understand.
And
it,
when
absolutely.
Jesse was talking about hanging out with guys like me and Jeremy, and the people who could help him, that's because when he showed up at the Second Chance Center,
You're so full of shit. You're so stupid.
Oh, so you went to you were his RSS at the Second Chance Center. You were
No,
at-
I
I
would
was
do the
actually
Second Chance.
out on the streets, and he was calling to me, "Hey, can you get me over there?" He was
Okay.
begging to get over there.
Yeah, man, the Second Chance is a powerful program. I've heard stories about, people getting $19,000, $20,000 worth of traffic tickets squad.
I see it.
Oh yeah,
Different
IRC.
resources.
Yeah, IRC.
Absolutely, man. I wanted some of
That
that.
IRC program, Juanita, I'm sorry, Janita, what's her last name?
I remember.
Yeah, she's all, I went on tour with them, man, to 3 different counties to talk to court personnel.
I don't know what the
And,
program was, but I know there is one, and I know that it helps a lot of people.
yeah.
That's
Oh yeah,
what
I
do.
walked into Tempe thinking like, okay, here I go with my IRC paper, right? And they're looking at me like, what? Like, where'd you type this up at? Like, like it had just started.
Yeah.
So I had to they didn't believe me. Like, who? Like, okay, sure, we're gonna take all this money off. Yeah, no problem. Here's your license, sir. Like, yeah, no, they didn't do that at all. But, no, eventually, after some fighting and pushing, they make some phone calls and emails and things, and it turned out to be true.
Absolutely.
And I stay in contact with the Second Chance Centers now.
Yeah.
I as much as possible. And
You been back on the yard yet?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Nice.
I was back on the 23rd.
Which yard were you on?
I was on Manzanita, right where I was working.
Is that the yard you left
Yep,
from?
the yard. That was like a big piece of closure for me. To,
Absolutely.
Like, absolutely lock the door on a piece of me that is no longer allowed to surface.
Absolutely.
And I look at it differently. I look at a lot of things differently. That's why I don't want to be one of those people that was like, okay, I got to be careful on how I address my recovery and my method, right? Because we're all different. We all have our own method and our own way of getting there.
Absolutely.
So, but for some, I also have to be mindful of other people's responses, right?
How you going to impact them?
Yeah, because if they look at what I'm doing, or they might want to try it my way, and when hey, how did you really do it? Like, how was your mindset and how was your discipline, like, internally? And I say, well, you might not want to go down. Like, let's have a couple talks first. Let's have some coffee. Like, let me see if you can call me on time first. Maybe before we start diving into there, because they won't come back. Sometimes they won't come back. So I got to be very careful, because I really beat myself up. Like when you were talking about surrounding yourself with the right kind of people, I allowed my version of it is I allowed, like, if I let go of everything, right, and I became super vulnerable, super open-minded and open-hearted and everything, right, that I was trusting that the universe would put the right people in my path, right, and it was up to me to learn the lessons from each and every person that I met. So I kind of gave the steering wheel to the universe, to the vibe, the energy, God, whatever you want to call it, right, because we can't get into all that, but like, but
Thank you.
for me, it's absolutely real, right? Whatever it is that I do, it's absolutely real. So I gave the steering wheel over, and what happened was I started getting opportunities, the right people, the right questions were being asked. All of a sudden, things were starting to fall in place, and I just trusted it, right? Because there's a part in the programming when we start talking about, oh, it's going to draw a circle, and who's on the inner circle, who's on the middle of the circle, who's on the outside of the circle. And it dawned on me.
I remember that exercise.
You know the exercise, yeah, right, the
I
inner
do.
circles things. So I'm sitting here trying to, teach this over and over again, right, to the cohorts, to the programs, to the classes, or whatever you want to call it. And I'm thinking, wow, people, places, things, people, places, things, people, places, things, right? We're drilling it in them, right? We're just absolutely just mashing it in their brain. And then I started thinking how upset I was that family wasn't on the tablet, that they weren't writing letters, at the time that letters were a thing, but they weren't communicating. I didn't have a 10 list. I made one phone call every 7 days to hopefully get a hold of my family. That's what I had on the line. I didn't have big money on the books, right? I had money, but not on the books, kind of a situation. So when I started really thinking to myself and started like self-reflecting about all this stuff, I realized that it was no fault of my families of why they have to live life, right? For so long, I've been a certain way, right? And I had to realize that I had to be comfortable being the person that was on outside of someone else's circle, and not always be selfish to where I'm looking at, me, and had to understand that someone else had to protect their nest and someone else had to protect their self by staying away from people, places, and things. I was the people that they needed to stay away from. That's why I wasn't, people weren't around or whatever. They couldn't do it anymore.
Absolutely.
For all they know of me is going back to prison, back to prison. And just so you know, one of my vices now is I still go to the casino, right? Guilty as charged, right? Like, it's my little free time. It's a different feeling, though. I'm not running or hiding or ducking or dodging, right? I'm choosing to go, right?
Poker table or slots?
A roulette table. Yeah. I'm going to figure it out one of these days, right? Yeah, right, all right. So when I still do that stuff, and it's going back to like being on the outside of other people's circles. Like when talking about the casinos, what I'm trying to get at is I go and I'm always looking up the odds. Right, I'm looking at the odds. What's going to get me money? Who says what? What is the right play? Blah 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 blah. Right. Then I thought about the odds just in general. Then I had to realize that it's not because your family doesn't love you, or because your family doesn't want the best life for you possible, or that your kids don't want you in their life. They're just playing the odds, and you cannot blame them. For so long, if I've done nothing but screw up, go away, screw up, go away, screw up, go away, let people down, let people down, let people down. And then here I am now saying the same thing over and over again, just in a different way. I feel it in my heart, though, so I know where I'm at. But before, they were lies. Before, they were manipulation techniques. There were just a means to just get let back in the house because I didn't have nowhere to sleep that night.
Yeah.
Like call it what it is, right? So I can't be mad at somebody for playing the odds. If 99 times out of 100 it lands on black, and I see you put your whole check on black, you're playing the odds, and I'm okay with it. I can respect it. Well, if 99 times out of 100 Frankie fucks up and goes to jail or goes to prison or removes himself from the family, I can't be mad when they're playing the odds.
Absolutely.
So so with that, all these like self-reflections allowed me to learn from it and turn my regrets into wisdom so that I can move forward. So I no longer have regrets, right? Like, you can't have regrets, and I regret this. Right? If I can go back and take each regret that I have, learn from it, revisit it, with my full heart, full emotion, full mind, full body, full everything, feel it, learn from it, then now it becomes wisdom. And there's nothing wrong with wisdom, right? So now I removed one regret, and I just went down the line. Terrorizing myself over and over again, mentally. Wasn't sharing with nobody because on the outside, hey, I'm Frankie, I have a big heart, come and help, I'll help you all day. Hiding all that other stuff from everybody else, right? Because I was afraid of that connection I was telling you about. I had the trust issues. So I wasn't able to open up quite yet. So when I was doing all that digging and diving and moving around, jumbling up all the different versions of myself, it was really a different approach. So when I try to help other guys, I'm not a sponsor, but I will help somebody out with some things. Like I don't do the sponsor thing, but I sponsor some people.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
we don't have to sit down and do things.
We can coach.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So we can definitely help them out, right? But I'm very careful in how I do it because people still take things personally. People still are, looking for a way out. I'll try recovery, but the second you cross this imaginary boundary, I'm out.
Right.
Because they're setting themselves for that future out in case things get a little shaky or a little scary.
Absolutely.
Right? And I get it. It's self-preservation, right? Nobody wants to feel bad. And if the last thing I got to let go of is the only thing that I got, damn right I'm holding tight onto it. That thing that I'm hanging on to might be regret, shame, guilt, fear, and all that other stuff. But if it's the only lifeline I have, I'm going to protect it at all costs.
Yep.
Even if it means not connecting with you or anybody. So, like, just in general, helping other people, I feel, and really connecting with them, it's very important to me. And it goes really deep. And that's why I was saying it was hard for me to just, adhere to one topic.
Yep.
Like, oh, okay. Like, oh, man. Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I can just go and go and go. Sorry, guys.
Well, no, we're good. That's why we're glad you're here.
Yeah.
What about you, Jeremy? What's your thoughts on connection, on human connection?
Well, just listening, I hear Frankie talk about that internal, right? Those long conversations, those underlying conversations that you have with yourself to continue to eradicate this belief system that you're never going to make it, right? So ultimately, in the end, like Frankie, like Jesse, and like yourself, George, taking a look within and finding that connection, reconnecting with those values, and then loving those values so much that you decided to share them with other people. And I think that our lived experience, right? I mean, it travels back all the way to Bill W. I mean, he was like the original, like I call him the original pioneer for peer support, because it was his experience that he talked about that allowed people to start changing around him, because for 6 months he was complaining to Lois, was like, nobody's getting it, because he was just one-siding things. And she's like, yeah, but you're still sober, you know? And then it was Dr. Silkworth who said, start talking to him about your experience, right? And so once he started building that connection, now look at Alcoholics Anonymous today.
Oh.
I mean, it's worldwide, right? I think one of the biggest benefits that I had to reconnect with myself so I can connect with others was journaling. Journaling, I have 8 of those black journal books, front to back, full of daily entries and gratitude. And I recently went back to where we started in 2018, and I just, my mindset, I was like, I had to reconnect with that mindset.
No.
It was like, oh my gosh, I was on fire. I was so free in there. And it's like, now that I've been out close to almost 3 years, I can see how that mindset it literally channels into, it's like I'm new at this, where I'm at, at this workspace, but I want to connect with people. And I don't know, like, the systems yet. So why am I making suggestions, right? I should be asking questions, right?
Yeah.
And so what I've found is that asking questions allows me to feel more connected. So that's the route I've been going, and it's worked out so much better. But I when you want to understand something, just ask.
No.
Right? When I feel disconnected, that means that I'm trying to drive, right? And like I said, when I'm driving down these roads and we're connected to these sidewalks here in Arizona, we're connected to the activity that we used to ruin our lives with, like Jesse was talking about. It's just all surreal now. It's
Yeah.
like when these guys they talk, they're like, oh, I don't want to go to that area, I'm triggered. I'm like, I go to that area and I'm like, I used to smoke crack here. I'm like, I'm connected here. Like, this is where it's at. This is where I need to put my work in.
No.
Right? There's people that need us here. And I'm ready to get connected. I'm ready to get connected on every level. And I wouldn't be here without the people that I've surrounded myself with since I've gotten out.
Absolutely.
And I'm honored to be here and feel the connection. Like when I talked to Frankie last night, and we were just kind of reminiscing over 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we were the first of 20 to get certified in peer support. That is now a statewide operating system
Yeah, I love it.
to help people get connected and reconnected. I just can't believe that.
That's pretty awesome, man. Really, really
How
good
many
stuff.
people have gotten certified in that peer support?
I want to say, just me alone, I can remember doing so there was the 20 of us, right? And then later we did like another 20, and then we trained like another group. We trained like 3 groups by itself, and that alone is 60 to 70. And that's not to mention the other yards. That's not to mention other trainings that I wasn't a part of. That's not to mention, there's just hundreds, man. It has to be hundreds, you know, and it's, that opens up a whole nother conversation as well, as far as like, you know, what became of them, what kind of impact it's having. But, you know, as we can all be witness to, it's having an absolute impact, you know. And I'd also like to real quick thank Jerry, Freebird Auto, right?
Yeah, Jerry got mentioned, not by us.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That dude helped me out. And it was true. Like, I went around looking for the resources, and I came out swinging, calling out these resources that we were providing. Because I'm not going to be a liar to the same people that I care about, right?
Absolutely.
I'm not going to do it. So I went to Paz de Cristo. I went to St. Joseph the Worker. I went to all these places. And when Freebird Auto came up, when it was time, you know, he hit it right on the head, dude. It helped me out. And now I no longer have that vehicle. I've since, you know, moved on from that vehicle. But without that vehicle, I'm not here right now, right? And it's given everybody that due respect. It's given everybody that you were a part of what I'm still working on my definition, right? You know, I heard the other day that someone said, probably a few weeks ago, not actually the other day, but someone said, and I hear it all the time, well, I'm not going to let my past define me. I'm not going to let my past define me. And, okay, that's fine. You know, and I chimed in. And I was like, I'm absolutely going to let my past define me. But the only difference is I get to choose when I'm done defining it. You know, I'm not done defining myself.
Absolutely.
When I am, then yes, it's all one big lump sum of what you're going to get.
Absolutely.
And what you're going to get is, you know, me. You're going to get the truth. You know, I'm going to be about it until I don't even know when, dude. Like, this is it. This is it. It's like a whole new life, bro. This is absolutely something different.
You made a comment. You said that Jared, you got that car from Jerry, and you had moved on. And, but without that car, you wouldn't be here.
No.
And it's a funny joke because a few weeks ago, I had said, "Well, something about selling cars." I don't just sell cars. So I was talking to him today. And we were talking. I was like, maybe I'll come down there on Saturdays. I'll help you out. Maybe sell some cars. He goes, "Bro, we don't sell cars. We change lives."
Yeah, and he did.
It is. It's Jerry tapped into what we all have tapped into, and that is the unconditional positive regard for the well-being of another human being.
Absolutely.
And I'd like to say, man, we invite you that if you right now are someone that's struggling with connection, we are with you.
No.
Well, that's the thing too, is that, you know, I believe that as human beings, you know, we crave that connection with others. And if you want to look at your future, look at your 5 closest friends.
I'm not doing that.
You know, at the end.
You know what? You're
Take a
right,
look, buddy.
Jesse.
Take a look.
Jesse, you're so right though. Like, it's like for years, all I wanted to feel was loved, respected, and accepted.
It didn't matter where it came from as long as you got it. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
Didn't matter who it was giving it to me, as long as I was getting it.
Natural desires that actually even became a liability to some degree. And that's, where addiction comes in.
No. 100%.
Yeah.
Being loyal to the wrong people, right? We were just dead loyal to the end of the earth for the absolutely the wrong people. I don't even know your last name.
I wasn't even loyal to the people.
Yeah,
I was loyal to the
just
drugs.
Super loyal.
The drugs were always there every single time.
It was absolutely.
They hung out
drugs.
with me everywhere I went. They were always in my pocket. Anything I ever needed them, they were there.
Codependency,
So,
getting
I mean,
into
like,
self-esteem, getting into everything else that comes with it.
What an opportunity to be vulnerable enough to be a man in today's world and understand that those are the things that I want, right?
But
and I'm willing to give it everywhere I can.
What gets me, dude, is that I was again talking to the correctional officers, right? And we're going down the line of like all these principles, values, and things that we hold dearly, right? That we value all the time, being loyal to the right people and having opportunity and being vulnerable and everything like that. It was that it all came back so fast as soon as they put the handcuffs on, right? And that let me know that there was something not right with the whole get down. Because out here, I'm lying, cheating, stealing, forget my kids, forget my family. I don't care. Trust is nothing. Integrity is nothing. Everything's nothing. I'm just doing me, drugs, right? And I don't care. The second they slap them handcuffs on me, I have manners. I'm respectful. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to cheat. I'm not going to cheat on you.
I don't steal.
I'll give you your honey bun on store day. I promise. I know. And let me shake your hand every damn morning.
Yeah.
Because I don't even know you. And now I have to wash my hands 20 times a day because you guys are all scratching places that you're not supposed to be scratching. I get it, dude. Like I get it. It's just messed up because that tells me that it's in here.
I had a neighbor.
It's always been in there.
I had a neighbor who always used to rub his hand right on his nostrils, and sometimes I'd see him wipe it on his pants.
Yeah.
And he was always so excited to talk to me and want to shake my hand.
Well, I think a lot of
He's
it's
probably
like
listening
talking
right
about
now.
Your family betting the odds.
Yeah.
We're talking
Yeah.
about core values and things that are important to us. I mean, before in the past, I would say time and time again that I was a good person. I love my family. I was going to change. I was going to do this, that, and the other. But my actions didn't reflect those beliefs.
No.
So really, at the end of the day, my family got to a point to where they're tired of hearing me talk about what I'm going to do. And it got to the point to where I had to start showing them what I was going to do. And getting into those core values and getting into self-evaluation, when I started looking in the mirror and realizing who I was and who I wanted to be and started chasing that, regardless of the situation, regardless of the feeling, regardless of the emotion, that's when I started growing and when I started feeling better about myself, and my self-esteem grew because I was doing esteemable things, because I was conducting myself with a manner of integrity. And when I started chasing that, all of a sudden all that nonsense got left aside because it wasn't in my core values that I was chasing.
Yeah, it goes away quick.
But I have to define what those are.
You got to dig deep sometimes because
Yeah.
they get buried under all the other stuff, man.
And that definition you're talking about is what's important, because that's something I ask all. I did it yesterday. I was a guest speaker for an IOP out on one of the 2 yards out in Yuma. And the guys were all sitting there. There was probably like 12 guys. And I said, hey, what's the best thing about you? And we went around the room. We had a conversation. Everything was cool. I'm like, hey, when was the last time somebody asked you that? One guy said a month. And then the rest of them were like, I don't even remember, or years, or, that kind of stuff, because it's so devoid of meaningful conversations and asking substantial questions, right? Questions of substance. I asked a kid, a young man, when I was at the Second Chance Center, we went around the room, tell me your top qualities, or your top quality. And he told me honesty. I said, okay, what's honesty? I don't know. And we don't know. Like, none of us knew. I used to run around talking about honor and respect and loyalty while I'm stealing cars, cheating on my old lady, and smoking crack. Like, I didn't know any of those three things.
You made sure the dope man got paid. So you could
I
get
definitely did not even do that.
No, did not do that.
But,
I did do that drive into the neighborhood and whistle, and they come out and they show it in your car, and you pop their hand and you drive off, and they shoot at you. Jeez. What the?
I got knocked out like that, dude. Because I didn't get away.
Yeah, you didn't get away.
I didn't get away.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that stuff can go horribly wrong,
Oh, no, it can
horribly
definitely go
fast.
horribly wrong.
Very fast.
But
Yeah, absolutely.
we're kind of getting to our time here, man. It was awesome having you. Got anything you want to say before you take off? Before we all take off,
man.
actually.
I mean, like, just I hope you guys keep doing what you're doing. This is awesome. Like, I'm willing to be a part of anything and everything, anywhere, all the time. Like,
Awesome.
it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like,
Don't say that to Jesse, because he'll get you into some weird stuff.
Well, like I said, the universe is driving, dude. So, I've been in crashes before.
And
No, I mean, what I would like to say is that there is something that's told to all the RSSs, right? Well, there's a couple things that's like, never in front of you, never behind, never behind you, always beside you, right? Which is something that is good too. Like,
Absolutely.
we're doing the work that we're doing. But also another one, my personal one, is always only see the beautiful things, right? Always see the beautiful things. Don't forget to always see the beautiful things. But the other one is something like, in regards to human connection, we were told to meet people where they're at, right?
Absolutely.
And a lot of times, I mean, that statement alone cannot be more true if you really do exactly that. We are best suited to serve the person we once were. And that's something else that I live by every time. We are only helping others to get to our younger self, right? To get to our previous version of ourselves, to help that person, right? That's the best position that we're in. We do not have the right to force somebody to be where we want them to be.
Absolutely.
Like if you work at a drug treatment center, you can't get mad because everyone's coming in high.
No.
That's why they're there. Like, meet them where they are at, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't meet them where you think they should be or where you believe you are, because that'll be the next thing that's challenged, will be your own personal sobriety.
Absolutely.
And so when you do unto others, right, it's the same energy that you get back. So
That's awesome.
moving forward, I would just like everybody just to put that good energy out there. Continue to, you guys, do what you're doing. And, I love it, man. I'm going to leave here just with a heart full of hope and inspiration. And it's
Awesome.
completely awesome. I appreciate it very much.
Well,
Will you do me a huge favor when you leave here?
Yeah.
Will you take Jesse with you?
It depends. I mean, no, he spilled the monster already on the wires.
I
That's
was
your
saying,
responsibility all over the place.
If you guys wondering why we were on late today, it's because Jesse spilled a monster.
No, that's all right. You guys get a hold of me whenever you want, man.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
What about you, Jesse? You got something you want to wrap up with?
Absolutely, man. If you didn't hear anything I said tonight, hear this. Be careful who you allow into your life, and try to add value into other people's lives. At the end of the day, one of the things that I ask myself every night is, was I adding value into the people's lives that I came across, or was I taking from it? And if you try to reflect on your day like that, and you try to add value, and you're careful who you allow into your life, it's a lot easier to set yourself for safety, and it's a lot easier to show compassion and love. Because at the end of the day, that's what I believe life's about. Compassion, love, kindness, and just being there for the next man, because that's the way this universe works, man. We just help one another out, help each other get better.
That's what you ask yourself at the end of the night?
I ask myself at the end of the night, did I add value to the lives of the people I came across, or did I take from
That's awesome, man. I love it.
Yeah, every night.
What about you, Jeremy?
Yeah, I would just say,
You got a parting thought?
Yes, just always be aware of the connection you have within yourself too. The words that you're telling yourself, the underlying narrative, what is fueling your life. Love yourself with abandon. Love others with abandon. I like that, and I remember it when you just said it just now. And not behind you, not in front of you, always beside you. I'm
Awesome.
gonna double down on that.
That's what I'm talking about. It's all good stuff. For me, don't let anybody tell you what you can or can't do.
can't
It's
do
up
that.
to you. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do.
Well, you can't.
At any
No.
given time. 100%. You can. I can absolutely do it. I'm saying it right now.